Hello, everybody. You're listening to the Earful Tower podcast. My name is Oliver G, and I'm sitting in a beautiful park in the middle of a heat wave in the 12th arrondissement, recording a podcast episode with Jasper Foley, a fellow Australian, and we're going to be talking about theatre in Paris, specifically Fringe theatre. So you've surely heard of the Fringe Festival in Edinburgh. We're going to be talking about the one in Paris, how Jasper's involved, and how you can be involved too, even if you're not in Paris and about to get a ticket. So, the next thing you're going to hear is Pres Maxson's music and then the voice of Jasper himself. F is for Fringe Festival in Paris, O is for Oliver G, and T is for the Earful Tower. Let's get into it. That music, do you recognize the name?
The name is Pres Maxson.
How do you know this guy?
Oh, I know this guy because we were running around together, what was it, in the 6th arrondissement, playing characters through history?
It could have been 5th arrondissement, but it definitely was running around in the night. So you've met Pres a couple times, actually.
Yeah. Well, we ran into each other earlier this year or last year and went and had a drink together and just had a great time reminiscing about that experience. And I'm so impressed by his musical ability. Basically, he does all these videos that he shares on Instagram.
He's like Prince. He can play any
anything.
But I was impressed. This isn't a podcast about Pres. This podcast with you. I was impressed. To rewind for people who don't know what we're talking about, a couple of years ago, I had a Christmas party where I basically stole the idea from Midnight in Paris. Owen Wilson, Woody Allen. Yeah. And we walked around the Pantheon with about maybe 40 people, and jumping out at every corner were characters from history, one of which was Pres Maxson, the musician. He was Cole Porter, I think.
Yeah.
And one of which was Quasimodo from The Hunchback of Notre Dame, a.k.a. you.
Yeah.
A story that people don't know, maybe I told it on the podcast, but people probably don't know, is you were last-minute ring-in.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah. Our esteemed colleague Charlotte had come down with COVID, and so I think I got the call that morning.
Was it the same morning?
Yeah, it was either the night before or that morning.
So I was like, Jasper, what are you up to tonight? You're like, nothing? I was like, listen, weird question. Will you imitate The Hunchback of Notre Dame for probably 5 minutes?
Yeah.
No script, live crowd. You're the Hunchback and you don't know what's going on. And you're like, yeah, let's do it. Where do we meet?
Yeah. I think if I remember correctly, I put a backpack on.
Yeah. You were really good. That was really, it was really, really good. And then we all met at the bar down the road and watched Edith Piaf sing Edith Piaf songs. And that was an Earful Tower Christmas party that will never be repeated because that was a lot of work. I can empathize a little bit with how much goes into planning a piece of theatre because I've done it, I guess.
Yeah, you totally have. Yeah,
and you're behind the scenes and in front of the scenes when it comes to theatre.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say on that. I think the way to impress you is to run out into traffic. If I remember correctly, that seemed the thing you're most impressed by.
Well, you were like, the idea was that because we met Hemingway and all these people, and the idea was that they didn't know who. They didn't see the crowd. They were in their year. Yeah. So you were in 1,000 years ago, whatever that is. Yeah. So you couldn't see the cars. You didn't know Notre Dame had just burned down a couple of months previously or whatever it was. And then at the end, you just ran through the crowd. And people were really excited and scared about it.
Quasimodo was going, what happened to the church?
But enough about that. So theatre, you've, let's introduce you properly. You're Australian, just like me. There's some Australians listening. You can say where you're from if you want.
Hi, Australians. Well, I'm from a bit all over. I was born in Canberra, but my family's in Ballarat, and my home base is kind of Melbourne when I'm back in Australia. But I've been in Paris for 7.5 years now, going on 8 years. Came over here to study clowning, and then stuck around for...
So you studied it here? Where did you study?
Yeah, the École Philippe Gaulier, which is this world-renowned clown and theatre school, which was run by Philippe Gaulier. He just died this year, actually, but he was this grumpy, bent old clown who sat there with a stick and a drum, and you'd go on stage in front of him and try to be funny or try to be beautiful, and more often than not, he'd bang his drum and tell you just how unfunny and unbeautiful.
In French? Did you say it French?
No, he was speaking in very French accented English when he was doing
So you went to, how long did you study that?
I was supposed to be here for 1 year, and then at the end of that I thought, this is amazing, I'm sticking around. And halfway through the second year, COVID hit, so I ended up staying on for another year. Wow. So I was there for 3 years overall.
What's the most annoying thing people say when you tell them that you studied to be a clown? Is there something that just makes you go, oh my God?
Yeah, I guess due to children's parties,
Really? People want you to go do the children's?
Yeah.
And how do you respond to it?
Well, I say, I've got a friend who does it. I'll hand you over to them, and then I palm it off to someone and get them a gig. Yeah. Children's parties pay okay.
But what do they pay? I've never thought about hiring.
Yeah, true. It depends who the client is, but you can get a few €100 for
16th arrondissement, wealthy person. What would they pay?
Probably 600 to get a clown in.
Wow,
yeah, you'd want to do a good job though.
But what do you do? What is if it's not children's party stuff? What were you trying to impress the master with?
The whole thing about clown is trying to unlock something essential inside yourself, something childlike, something innocent, and something stupid. So to be called an idiot is the highest compliment in the clown world. And you basically step on stage. One of the ideas going around was if you have an idea, forget it, because usually straight away people would be able to see that you're blocked in your mind rather than just being reactive on stage, but basically just trying to find a real immediate presence on stage, and then from that funny comes up. Mistakes are your friend. Yeah.
Do you feel that you're in normal life? Do you feel that you're quite unabashed or uninhibited?
Yeah, actually that was one of the really good things to come out of it. You can start to enjoy embarrassment, and when things go wrong, you feel you've got a bit of power in the situation, and if people start laughing at you, well, it's not shame, it's delight that comes out of it. Yeah.
I feel like I'd be too nervous to ever do clowny kind of things in front of adults, but with kids, I love doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but if the kids don't laugh, I
love it. Give me the challenge. I think I'm on the same wavelength as the kids.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's a good thing. That's where you want to be as a clown.
Yeah, that's also the level of my humor, which is nothing near what you're doing. But I resonate with what you're saying of not being afraid to be an idiot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. It's like
more people need to do this.
It's a hidden superpower. Yeah.
Well, speaking a foreign language is kind of similar. Excuse me if this is wrong, but you make an idiot of yourself all the time trying to speak French here. Do you feel this similar?
Yeah, I've got a friend in town at the moment who's trying to learn French and is right at the beginning of that journey. And I think the key to it is being okay with being an idiot. Yeah. This friend of mine is one of the most intelligent people I've ever met, really successful journalist, and has always been top of the class, Yeah. And now they're in this position where...
Not anymore, baby.
Yeah, no one can understand them. Yeah.
Weird, isn't it?
Yeah. But if you can delight in being an idiot, then you're set. I think then you pick up the language way more quickly because you just put yourself in those situations.
When I go to I don't know, Italy or Spain, I don't speak those languages, but I speak enough French that I have an idea. I don't care being an idiot there either, because I feel like I can be so much better in French. Yeah. So that I can do foreign languages. Yeah. I don't care to be an idiot here.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny? Do you know what I think? Podcasting for me has allowed me to embrace my inner. I don't know if idiot is the word, but I often ask questions because I know people at home might not know, for example, what a clown does. Yeah. And I can't be ashamed to say I don't know what that is. Yeah. Because people at home won't know either. Yeah. So it's cool to be able to unlock that feeling of, look, I don't care. I'm going to say something stupid, and we can all learn something from this, maybe. Yeah. How fascinating. And do you do clown work now?
Yeah. I tend to travel each year. I have my own show, which we were talking about before. I hatch out of a giant egg and then climb a ladder into the sky with a Georgian choir singing through the show.
Does the choir travel with you?
Yeah, well, the really nice thing about that show is we get local singers in the places where we go. Yeah. So we started in Georgia. We had this residency there, and then we've done it in Melbourne, in Perth, in Adelaide, and had different choirs there. And we're doing it in Malta later this year, and we have a Maltese choir who's going to join us. That's one of the.
When you say Georgian singers, this is like the really deep.
Yeah. Oh man, don't get me started on Georgian music. It's the most amazing, unusual sound. Actually, I found it when I was studying clown, and I felt this parallel because Georgian music's made up of 3 voices, and the top voice sounds weird, and it starts with a call. So the top voice will call out, and often when I hear that, it makes me laugh because it sounds like a drunk person falling over, which often it is in Georgia because they have this wine culture, and the singing is done around the table with drinking and food. And so you're there having a giggle, and then suddenly the other 2 voices come in, and it just hits you like a wave, and you're taken by emotion. You realise you've got tears in your eyes. And studying clown at the time of discovering Georgian music, I went, this is what I love in clown performances, that you're there laughing along at this person and suddenly you feel this empathy and this tragedy in the character too, and you go from laughter to tears. I just think that's such a powerful mechanism in clown, and wanted to join those two in this show.
So there's a lot more to... I think a lot of people just think clown is...
Red-nosed wig.
Yeah.
Yeah, ha ha ha.
How much of clowning is the stuff besides making you laugh?
I kind of... Clown's a bit like religion, you know. You can go really deep into it. There's a Russian clown who's set up in Paris, actually. Do you know about Slava Polunin?
Nope.
He's kind of like the Charlie Chaplin of Russia. He's a household name over there, and he runs this show, Slava's Snow Show, which is so successful that he's bought a mill just outside Paris, the Yellow Mill, and turned it into this clown castle and garden. And he is a total nerd when it comes to clown. He reckons that clown is an archetype that's popped up in every culture in human history. He identifies them all over the place, and he relates them even to shamans, in more ancient cultures. And it's really touching on something essential in the human condition, the clown, and that's why it can take you from laughter to tears.
Amazing. Speaking of laughter to tears, that's a theatre goal, perhaps. Let's talk about theatre. We can't do C is for clown, we're talking F is for fringe.
Yeah, true.
Also,
true.
It occurs to me, Pres Maxson, who's probably listening, is probably thinking if he can do Georgian singing right now for his next video.
Oh, yeah, here's a challenge, Pres. We can do it together.
Good luck, man. But let's talk about fringe. First, can you give me the 60-second idea of Fringe's history that leads us to this bench right now?
Sure. 1947, the Edinburgh Festival. All of these theatre companies are invited to perform. Many local companies are not. And so there are 8 companies that decide to put on their own show. And a reporter goes to see these shows and writes saying it's a pity that they were relegated to the Fringe. And that's where the concept was born. So the Edinburgh Fringe Festival is now this massive event. The city goes from a population of 1 million to a population of 4 million in August each year. And artists come from all over the world to perform. And that model of independent grassroots artists being able to express themselves and put on their own work has spread around the world. So it's huge in Australia. It's where I discovered it. Melbourne Fringe, Adelaide Fringe, Perth Fringe. Adelaide and Perth are the second and third biggest fringe festivals in the world. But it's also throughout the Anglophone world, and now also throughout Europe and many other non-English speaking countries. But it's not really in Paris. So it was running in Paris from 2016 to 2020, and then, like so many other things, it succumbed to the COVID pandemic. So we're trying to revive it. In fact, we are reviving it. We've brought it back together. A group of volunteers over the last 2 years have managed to organise the whole thing, and we're putting it on this September in your home arrondissement.
My neck of the woods, baby. Ground control. 12th arrondissement.
Yeah.
Very cool venue, by the way.
Yeah.
But I want to pull back on something. You said you've been working on it for 2 years. Did you do shows last year as well?
We had a proof of concept in the chateau where I was living.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You invited me to it. I didn't come.
Yeah, you missed out.
It says a lot about, that's 2 kids for you.
Yeah. No, I had this amazing opportunity fall in my lap to live in a chateau and build it up. Initially it was a 3-month opportunity, but we loved the place so much.
Did you build it up, like repair it?
Yeah. Well, initially it was to repair it, but then after the 3 months we spoke to the owner and said, well, we want to build this up into an arts centre. We want to turn this into something really special that is an international gathering place for artists and basically, I mean, this is where my heart lies. I want to build spaces that foster hope in the world and connect people who lead these disparate lives who might otherwise not have an understanding of the way the other lives. So this is my big vision for that chateau. And the owner, who turned out to be a knight, do you know they have culture knights in France?
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, he was a knight of arts and letters.
It's like a chevalier?
Chevalier des arts et lettres. he said, okay, that's a good idea. Why don't you buy it?
Is he like, do you know I'm a knight?
Well, we found that out later. But anyway, he gave us this basically a vendor finance situation where he said, why don't you use the castle to make money and then use that money to pay for the place over the next 20 years. So we jumped on that and started developing the chateau in this way.
Do you own the chateau now?
Well, this is where the tragedy, you said laughter to tears. So the plans were set in place. We worked out a really viable business plan running on a few different tiers. And then I had already booked in to go and do the egg show in Australia. And so the deal was when I got back, we'd sit down, sign some pieces of paper and we'd go. And he would take the castle off the market. And I got back. I bought a couch. I found this second-hand antique couch. I thought that belongs in the castle. This is how to start off. And then the next day, the knight came over on a bicycle, not a horse, and said, I'm really sorry, but I got a call last night. Someone's offered me 1.2 million euros, and I have to say yes.
Wow.
So instead of buying it, we went, okay, let's put the festival on here as our big goodbye to the chateau, and we did the first Fringe-related festival, which was a 2-day event where we pulled in all of these artists who were coming through from the Edinburgh Fringe, a whole lot of my colleagues, and had a great theatre event.
Amazing. So that was like Fringe to the Fringe, kind of?
Yeah. We called it Fringe Island because the castle was sat on an island.
On a moat?
Yeah,
With
so
a moat?
it's on the Essonne River, and the river splits. Yeah. It was split deliberately to go around this property, and they created an island in the middle of the river with a castle on top of it.
And that leads us to Paris this year. So 2 years working on that, and then we come to Paris. Let's talk about the show. There was obviously, I'm going to preface it by saying there's obviously people listening, not just in countries where they're not going to be in Paris in September, but there's people listening in the future. So sell it to everybody with that in mind.
Yeah.
But it's September, you said, right?
September the 9th to the 13th this year. So we've put out artist call-outs and got a huge number of applications and whittled them down to 15 programmed companies, plus a few one-off performances. So there are artists coming from Armenia, there are artists coming from Australia, there are artists who are local as well, a whole lot of local companies.
In English, this stuff?
English, 1/3 English, 1/3 French, and 1/3 other or non-verbal. Because coming from the clown world, I know that there's a whole lot of weird stuff that is multilingual or non-verbal, and I wanted there to be a place for that sort of performance. So we've put this mixed program together. And that's the model for now, having these 15 shows happening at ground control mainly over those 5 days. And given that this is our inaugural Paris Fringe Festival, we wanted to start small and then see what the capacity is to grow from there. So that's how we've set it up for 2026.
Let's talk about ground control too, because I was there the other day with the Earful Tower's intern, Victoria, who just finished. Yeah. Last day I took her to ground control, showed her around. She loved it. She's young, right? But when I was there this week with her, I was thinking, I was reminded of when I went there with my parents, and they loved it too.
Yeah.
So they're my parents, a lot older than 20 years old, and they were like, "Why are you talking about this place on the podcast more?" I was like, I didn't think the typical listener to the Earful Tower maybe would dig it. You know, it's a far cry from the Latin Quarter, let's say.
Yeah, totally.
But it's cool. It's like a former train depot turned into sort of mega inside and outside bars, restaurants, cheap, like weirdly cheap compared to this city, and a real mix of young and old, don't you think? Yeah,
definitely. I mean, one of the things that really aligned for us at Ground Control was their value set. They are making it cheap and accessible so that everyone can come and have a good time in this cool setting. They work mainly with association, not for profit, which is what our structure is at the Fringe. And it's this really eclectic, interesting setup. They've got all these old SNCF train and bus carriages.
There is a bus out the front. I don't know if it's a restaurant, if they're cooking in there.
They change it, but it'll be. They're setting up to be a restaurant this this year. Each summer they set that up as a restaurant. And then, I went there once and there was a skate park that had been set up inside.
Right now there's a indoor soccer field, football field for kids.
Really? I didn't notice that.
World Cup related.
Do you know they've set up a sauna there as well?
There's a podcast studio too.
Oh, yeah, true.
There's everything. There's an aeroplane in the middle of it as well that you can...
Well, the aeroplane's going to be one of the theatres.
Very good. Very good.
The festival. But yeah, Spilling the Beans, our storytelling show, which you recorded its podcast in that studio for a while.
Some say one of the best episodes.
The best episode ever of any podcast, I heard.
Yeah. Tell me about the tickets for your show, €5.
Yeah.
It's a bit cheap.
It is cheap, and it's one of the constraints that working with a venue like this brings. Of course, they want to make sure that it is accessible for all of their clients. So there's a cap on tickets of €5 for 75% of the shows, which means that it is unbelievably accessible for audiences. But it also means that there's a fair bit of pressure on us financially.
Well, let me take over this bit, because... guy in a Lamborghini going past, he can afford more than a €5 ticket. But what I will say is there's another way that people listening, even if they're not in Paris, can support. Can you buy tickets online out of interest?
Yeah, you can.
What happens if someone buys a ticket out of support but they don't show it? Is that kind of annoying?
That's so fine. Well, there's an option. This will all be posted in the next fortnight. So we're finalising our program and putting it up online, and there's a donate
cool.
option there.
Because there's something I haven't told you is that Earful Tower listeners can be a generous bunch.
Oh, yeah.
So what I'm thinking is I'm sure people will buy a ticket to donate, but also Jasper set up a crowdfunding. Is that the word? A crowdfunding where people can help to make this possible. And I'm going to link to this in the show notes and around on social media and everything. But if you're the kind of person who likes to support the arts, there are opportunities going from $0 to $1 million, basically. Yeah. And you've just listened to... I'm doing this for you.
You do nothing. It's great. Thank you.
I'm used to crowdfunding, but you guys, I'm speaking to you personally. If you've enjoyed this episode and if you enjoy the sound of this clown that I'm sitting with, and if you got some money spare, this is a good thing to throw some money towards. And I'm being involved in it in different capacities, including, you might have heard at the start of this episode, I'm trying something different. You might have heard that there were automatic ads that came on. Maybe you didn't hear them, maybe you did. I'm just running that. And if anything comes in from that, that's going to be my donation. So I'm going to get the ball rolling for you guys, but I know what you're capable of. So is there an easy link for it, or will it just be written down below?
Yeah, there is. I'll put it in the show notes. It's Why Donate the Paris Fringe Festival. And every donor will be on the Paris Fringe Hall of Fame for all of eternity as a big thank you. You'll be put down in history as one of the people who helped make this brilliant event happen, and it will be a brilliant event, and hopefully, I believe it'll be a movement that will continue long into the future in Paris, because it's needed here.
Why do you think? Firstly, why do you think people should support the arts in general? Start with that, and then I got to follow up.
Yeah. Okay. Well, my revelation in that space was Spilling the Beans. So, Spilling the Beans is a storytelling show, true stories told by the people who experienced them, and I first had the idea in an opium haze when I'd had shoulder surgery and I was unable to move, so I was just sitting in a recliner for 3 days listening to podcasts. And I listened to a storytelling podcast, and it said, well, you too can do this sort of thing. And I thought, great, okay, I'm going to put on a storytelling event in my share house, and then I'll have a big party afterwards. And so I invited a whole lot of people. My 2 housemates invited a whole lot of people, and these 3 separate groups turned up. Groups of people who'd never met before. A little bit awkward at the beginning. And they all piled into our share house, 80 people in this small space. And then the stories started, true stories. And I could just feel this thing changing. And what we'd done is we'd cooked all day. So we had an intermission where people shared food. And they also shared stories. All these people who'd been strangers at the beginning were connecting and laughing and talking to each other and relating to the stories that they'd heard, sharing their own stories. And I just went, oh, wow, there's something going on here. And then second half went really well. And then everyone went smiling and laughing out the door into the night and forgot about the dance party, because the real event was this storytelling event. And I've been an artist since I was a kid. I studied circus from the age of 15 and then worked as an actor. And I've always had that kind of moral dilemma in my head, like, how do you quantifiably justify what you're doing. A doctor is able to say, I sewed up this wound, that person didn't bleed to death. That is quantifiably good. But we don't have that same feedback loop as artists. And I feel really lucky to have had that experience with these stories and seen firsthand the effect that it can have, the connecting effect. I mean, connecting's not an adequate enough word for what it does. But that's on the scale of a Melbourne share house. The capacity is global. The connecting effect is global. And in a world where countries are closing their borders, where people are becoming black and white in their nationalist thinking, I think it is really important to have these spaces and these events that allow us to see each other in those human ways and to remember, that's a human being. I know they live on the other side of the world in a completely different way to me, but that's a human being, and when I look into their eyes and when I hear their story, it's my story. So that's why the arts are important.
I agree. And when and now you're doing Spilling today even, on the day we're recording this. Yeah, you're doing it in Paris. When I came and talked at it, it was quite a slick program compared to a share house with people.
Yeah. It came a long way, hey.
I remember the one that I did. There were people telling some serious war stories and stuff.
Yeah,
but then I came up and talked. I can't really remember, but I came and talked about the crocodile in the canal.
Yeah, and you got the only standing ovation. The whole crowd just went, wow! Yeah.
That was a good twist in the end of it. But I'm going to link to that as well in the show notes for people who are new and listening and who haven't heard that, because that was a fun one. But the part two of the question, and we can finish on this, is perhaps there are people listening who are thinking, hang on, there's theatre everywhere in Paris. Why am I going to get involved in another thing? Or why does there need to be a Fringe? Or isn't there already enough to see? What do you think? Well, I mean, this person sounds a bit lame, but there are people
No, this person just needs convincing. Well, the Fringe model really doesn't exist here. I've just spent the last 4 days in Avignon, which is this city in the south of France, which has a very famous festival.
Great wall running around that town.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think it's Roman.
If you love a good wall, you would love Avignon.
Yeah. And there are some similarities there, but even there, there's a cultural difference that means that it's not so much a grassroots event. The shows there are in some ways polished, and I also found in some ways a little sterilized by that. And the thing about Fringe is that once it gets going, if you have an idea and a passion and you want to put a show on or express yourself, you can register, you can set yourself up in a venue, and then you can join it. And so it really is grassroots. That, in my experience, doesn't exist in Paris, and it's just got unbelievable potential too, because Fringe is such a well-known event around the world, and Paris is such an important destination around the world. And I just think this is an opportunity that we in the community need to take advantage of and build on, and yeah.
Well, as someone else in the community or the extended community, I'm hopefully doing my bit to bring some people in, because I want to see you guys thrive as well.
Yeah,
everybody at home, you know what to do. I'm going to link to things below, and if you're in Paris in September, come along to a show, because I think I'll probably be there as well.
Yeah, fantastic.
This time I've got no excuse to miss it. I live just down the road.
Yeah, I'll come and knock on your door if I don't see you.
On the way down. Yeah. All right, Jasper, thanks so much for sharing your story, and good luck. Break a leg.
Yeah, thank you.
Can I say good luck, or is that the wrong thing?
You're not supposed to. You can say break a leg. Can you swear on this podcast in French?
Yeah, of course.
Well, in France they say merde.
Tell the story. Why?
Well, you'll have to tell it, because I've forgotten it.
Apparently it's to do with...
I remember, yeah.
It's the horse, the more horse manure, or merde, that's out the front of the theatre, the more people had come to see the show, so it's good luck.
Yeah, because it's dropped off in carriages. Yeah.
So, merde to you.
Merci.
So there you have it. That was Jasper Foley talking about the Fringe Festival of Paris. As I said in the episode, the show notes below is the link where you can make a donation. Do it. Make me and the Earful Tower proud by your generosity, if that's where you're at in life. If you can make a donation, do it. I will also release this episode ad-free with some extra bonuses for Patreon and Substack members. Thanks to everybody for listening. Thanks to everybody who supports the festival as well. My name is Oliver G. This is the Earful Tower podcast, and see you again next week with another episode about this magnificent city.